What virtues guide you when you're tired, triggered, or tempted?
We're talking about crafting your inner compass tonight on Leading Out Loud.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Welcome to Leading Out Loud, the spiritual shift show that's clear and clairvoyant. I'm psychic astrologer Christopher Witecki, the Sensei of SeriousJoy.com.
And I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor at ScottCruzPM.com.
And here we are again.
You forgot.
Here we are. Here we are.
What are we talking about, Jay? What are we going to talk about tonight, Jay?
Well, we're in Sagittarius, which is, a lot of mumbo jumbo. It's the theories, it's the beliefs, it's what you believe about stuff. And, ultimately, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it.
I can't believe it's not butter.
I know, parquet. I know. I know. I have had major belief structure changes, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, a real shift in actually officiating when I'm a stand behind. I realized I was kind of back and forth about it. That's what I realized about certain beliefs. That I believe things, but I wasn't really enforcing the beliefs in my life.
Yeah. I would say, like, for me, it's like, okay, I've cleared the beliefs, but then I'm starting to see the behavior still there. And I was talking about this last week about, all right, you can change your beliefs, but then we realize, why isn't anything changing? It's like, oh, I'm still doing the same behavior from the old beliefs. I haven't created new behavior. So I started to realize, my thing is like receiving love. People are receiving. I had a good friend in town, of 8 years, and I had my partner and my friend give me love, and I'm just like, get away, So I started to realize, like, I have issues being, people being affectionate that way, and so it comes from the past, and like I believe I deserve it, but it's just the same behaviors of the abuse I went through. It was just kind of, you push it away a little bit, So, so I was able to like see it and be like, holy crap, am I really doing that?
Yeah. I think it's common though. I mean, I would, Serious Joe would say, probably you don't have boundaries defined. Like, if you haven't defined like what is comfortable, then nothing will be. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have that, like, where the line is, and something you consider. Because when you're a kid, you're just like running from what you don't want, and then it never occurs to you like architect what you do. But yeah, I understand that.
I set too much boundaries. I set too much boundaries. I realized, and now I'm saying, all right, I set boundaries to keep myself safe, right? And I was just like, I want to take some of those off to people that I care about, people that care about me too. Let them care. I can't be caring about everybody else and not let them care about me, So yeah. So that's one thing that came to my realization.
But you probably, I would imagine, don't accept love from yourself, like, Like if you do really well and you're like, well, I did a good job. Well, no, maybe I shouldn't say that way. I mean, there's probably a defense that goes off right away.
Yeah. I'm not doing enough. I'm always like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not further along enough. I'm not, this has been my Virgoian nature.
Oh, that's true. The Virgo rising. Yes, indeed. Well, I'm a Leo rising. I love everything, outside.
Do you?
Well, no, I had a girlfriend that turned me around on that. She was like, I love you. And I just don't feel like it ever gets inside you. And I was like, huh. I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I don't think it does. I hadn't realized I wasn't accepting. And it was because it came with strings. My dad, if I accepted love from my parents, like it came with strings. There was like something attached to that.
Yeah.
Right after like oh, I love you, go clean your room. Like there was always something that followed it. So it was like, there's just a hesitation. Love wasn't safe.
Yeah. Or it was conditional, right?
Oh, definitely.
Conditional or circumstantial, right? And so, yeah, I mean, and I had a lot of confusion too with the love. And so I just I always had to give it, I always gave it and gave it and gave it. And, to where it make me uncomfortable. Like, oh, well, I don't want to make them uncomfortable, so I'll make myself uncomfortable. So I won't say anything. And it wasn't until like 4 or 5 years ago when someone like inappropriately touched me, I was like, before I'd be just laugh it off, and then I'm just like, don't put your hands on me. Don't touch me there. And it's like, I don't care if they're uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable, so it took time, for me to realize that, to, say like, I can't be appeasing everybody, all the time. And so, and that's not loving ourselves, because then we end up like blocking ourselves off from like people who really do loving us. Right. And people who really do want to be affectionate, and, then we deprive ourselves of that, because then I put up boundaries and walls, and then you end up blocking the wrong people.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference between, it's not even blocking. It's like, I think to some degree, the problem is that there isn't blocking. Like, they shouldn't even be on the campus grounds, right? Some people shouldn't even be in the sphere of influence.
Right.
And so, but not receiving is like, once you've made it all the way up to the heart, like it's right here that you decide if you take it in or not, so by then, if your enemy's gotten here, or someone who's dangerous gotten all the way up here, that's where the boundary problem is. They need to be stopped at the gate,
Yeah, of course.
The boundaries, like, I protect my life from this, and this stuff. This stuff cannot happen, or it must be this way, the positive happiness. Then once you kind of have control of the feelings coming in, there's rules, and then you can start to accept which ones you're going to take to heart. But even when you take them first to heart, man, first time I took things to heart, man, I like broke down crying. Heart had not had anything. I hadn't taken anything to it in so long. It just like was like a starving child, when I finally, like, and I don't even remember what the episode was, but I do remember the breakthrough. And it's funny, as a light worker, it's funny because not so long ago I was breaking down crying. And it's like, when you are a light worker, it's like you're going through the being human and crying, but at the same time that you're a light worker inside, it's like, well, this is a blah, 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 blah. Like, there's still that side of me, the philosophical side, that's like talking me as sensei through the whole thing, which is kind of annoying. You know what I mean? Like, because I do always know what I have to do, that side of being, But what I came down to is like, I haven't really just like decided to just follow what I believe about myself. I've never just given my help 100% to just what I believe about myself. I've always been trying to make sure it went along with other people's beliefs. And, and now I'm at a point where it's not even about them or me. It's just like, I realize now how the matrix works. It's like other people's beliefs don't even matter.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, they interfere, if anything. And a lot of ours interfere. They interfere, and it's like, then, because you could always find people who have this similar expression as you. I don't even like to say beliefs anymore. I like to say expression, because the same thing. I feel like I had to present for people the way they wanted me to present for them, because it was always an issue, some sort of. And I'm like, at this point, I don't give a fuck as an issue. There's millions of people who see things through my lens and can be inspired through my lens. And so I got the point of saying I have to fix everybody and inspire to everybody. I just let go of that. Because there's always going to be someone that's sitting there in the keyboard warrior, typing away in their bonbons, right, and saying like, I'm just going to pick at everybody else because I have to. There's going to be those jackasses online. So if we let those people try to interfere with what we feel and believe, then we'll just kind of we'll never be able to find our own compass and navigate with our own compass. Because of what people say.
I know. Back into the show. Well, here's the irony and the paradox is that you let in the criticism, but you don't let in the love.
Right. Exactly. From a huge wise person, RuPaul. RuPaul once said, "I'm too busy, interacting with people that love me versus the people that hate me." And so it's like, I just got to a point. I just don't care. I don't care what people have to say, and people are just either the same way that they're not. I don't care. And then, like wise one once said, opinions are like assholes. We all have them, but most of them stink, right? So, not mine.
Honestly, I think when you're doing it right. When I say doing it right, I mean playing the game of the Matrix. You just love yourself, and you love what you feel, and you love what you believe, and you will pretty much only attract people like you. It really actually does work. Pretty much people who agree with you. It happens naturally. Right. I'm finally at that point as I got to peace with myself. I mean, especially here in Palm Springs, it's just one person after another that really get along with easily. I'm like, oh my God, I changed. Like, what is it? And I realized it's like, well, for one, I'm more comfortable with myself finally, and I had to get away from it. So distance, I mean, some of my family's toxic. I need distance, physical distance as the boundary, just because I'm such I'm an empath. So it's like, I can't feel it even across town, for me. And maybe I'm sure I'll get better at it, over time, but
and that's the one thing too, I feel always blessed about, like, for the past 12 years, like all my clients have been just phenomenal. I have like 5 annoyances in 12 years. That's good. Like 5 just pain in the asses. The rest have just been fucking amazing clients. And so it's just like, and I think that I've been so specific about like what I'm projecting and what I want that, people are easy to figure me out and what works for them. So I've been so blessed, with an array of just wonderful, wonderful clients.
I'm Jupiter in the 7th, which is blessed. I'm blessed as well. Although in this last lap, like I had to turn into the bad guy. Like for some, I had to be, a representation of what was falling apart. Like the story that was written that way. It wasn't like Chris slipped and almost fell. It was Chris has fallen. It's like, oh, okay. And that was a hard one to accept because it's like, okay, your belief structure needs this. That's fine. I'm not going to argue with what you believe, so, but also I'm not going to get hurt by it either because that's not the story that's what I'm creating. So it was interesting there to finally be like completely okay for the first time in my life that we completely disagree 100% on everything and it's not going to be resolved.
Yeah.
Because I used to want to resolve all of that stuff.
But that's the beauty. Everyone has a different way of experiencing things. We all come from these different karmic paths. Yeah. We have different, perspectives based on what we're evolving from. So I think the key is just understanding it. And, I always say being objective and unaffected because I want to, and that's in life where people would be like, how do you get along with those people? They're so this or they're so that. They're so hard to get along with. I'm like, well, because I understand them. I understand where they're coming from. So I know how to interact with them. Right. And so to me, it's been the biggest growth, I would say benefit or gift in my growth is be able to have that ability to be objective like that and not be so judgmental, and so this way you can actually understand people coming from. And I think that they teach us too about things that maybe we're not so perceptive on. And so that's always been my goal.
Well,
that's always my goal is to master that more.
Oh, shit. Well, yeah. I mean, well, or do we have to? I mean, really, we just have to master ourselves more. I think, not selfish. I still believe in politeness. I still believe in, public courtesies and things like that. Of course, gentlemanly, all those things, of course. But am I going to worry that, you're not happy with me? No. Really not, unless I've done something, but no.
Oh, wow.
So but that's a completely new belief for me. That's completely new belief. And that brings us to the headlines.
What a segue.
No, that's me closing down. No, I just want to make sure the show's going forward. And I think, you were the one actually reading them this week, Scott.
Yes. The first one, Trump signals no more income tax in not too distant future. He kind of ran on this, I think, his first term about the no income tax, but he signals no more income tax in not too distant future. He tied this to trillions in expected tariff revenue, which he said it could also fund tax refunds, stimulus dividends, and debt reduction. So let's pull from the IRS to get these stimulus checks out and these tax or tariff relief checks out, and still waiting on those Doge checks. So, look, my perspective on the income tax, I understand it's that we need to fund a system, but I think the income tax is unethical to me because I have to pay to work, and there's people that don't work, don't pay it. So I agree in sales tax, I agree with property tax, all the other taxes, but income tax to me is just unethical. So I wrote in a blog about 2013, 2014 about the breaking down of the financial systems, the breaking down of these systems. So I'm not surprised that he's saying this, or at least bring it to people's consciousness, so in this aspect, I do agree with, and I think it's corrupt. And if I'm going to pay tax to something, I want to choose, hey, I want to go to education, or hey, I want to go to this. We don't have that choice where we're dumping all our taxes. And so that needs a complete revamp, if not a complete just abolishment of the whole thing. I think it's just, I hate the income tax.
Well, it's pretty real with corruption. I mean, at the end of the day, the country did survive for the first 150 years with just tariffs. The reason why we wanted prices to go up because they were foreign goods, and we wanted foreign goods to be more expensive than American-made goods. That was the whole point. The reason why they're balking now is because American companies are trying to import their own stuff from foreign manufacturing. So now they're fucked. So, so it's like, oh no, it's not supposed to make our products go up. Well, if you're going to make them in another country, they're going to go up. So that's why it's a mess. But it is all dark. I mean, I think at the end of the day, here's what's happened. The United States leveraged its debt with humans.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We have
100%.
leveraged our debt with humans. That's what income tax is. It is basically enslaving us in a tax now instead of other things. Everyone now is taxed. Everyone is enslaved in that sense. And every year you're enslaved. Your house, your property of your home, you lose your home if you don't pay your property tax. But everywhere you're enslaved if you don't pay, and you have to pay. Blah blah blah. So at the end of the day, I think it's unconstitutional. I think it's immoral. It's not what the forefathers imagined, or it would be in the fucking Constitution. It's not.
Well, that's why it was amended. It was amended, with I think what was the 14th Amendment or something. I think it was amended. I don't know if I'm getting the amendment correctly with the income tax, but it wasn't intended this way. It was only intended for people in Washington, no corporations. And then the corporate's like, well, instead of me paying a tax on my employees, I'll have the employees pay the tax themselves. So it just got so corrupt, But those things have to be starting to break down. And I would rather pay more because of tariffs and not have the income tax. This way I can choose to buy or not. And people say, well, if you don't have income tax, who's going to pay for all the roads and all this stuff? I say, well, your states will do that, pay for your roads or not. And I live in Nevada. We don't have state income tax. We have casinos funding everything.
Yeah.
But, only 40% of tax is income tax, and only 50% of Americans pay income tax. So, where's that money going to? And there's 6% of tax that's collected. Why isn't that money going to where we need it to go? And so we need a deeper look into all these things. We really do. And Amazon, $0 in federal income tax. Amazon pays $0 because of loopholes.
Yeah.
So that means I pay more income tax than Amazon does. Tell me there's something wrong there.
I mean, really, honestly, let's get to the astrology. This is the Second American Revolution is what's about to happen. And this is, I call it a re-evolution because we already had a revolution. You only do that once. From that point on, you just keep re-evolving. And you constantly go, well, we are outdated. And one of the areas that was really, I think outdated is corporations. Corporations should not have any power, to the level that they have, and I don't think Jefferson saw it. The only, and Lincoln, not Lincoln, but Washington. I think the reason why they didn't see it is because like one company, like the tea company, they didn't see, I think, where corporations were going to go to where literally now corporations can sponsor a president. It's too much. We have infiltration.
It's ridiculous. And, when something goes wrong in our economy, the small businessmen get hurt. So they were just doing a report, I think recently, they're saying all the small businesses were affected during this time, not so much, the large corporations. Like it's always that way. It's always that way.
Yeah. No, and it's because, we know, do we know the problems? Maybe not. Here's the thing. We have been distracted with stupid stuff and headlines. And the reality is that we've been getting taken advantage of as citizens for the last 50 to 60, 70 years, since World War II. Basically, it's been all take advantage of the citizen, not care about the citizen. When it comes to what, foods and pesticides get passed, to all the things, none of it is for our better health. And by the way, the health industry, we're getting sicker. We're getting sicker. We're getting more obese. We're dying earlier. Our death rate's going, is becoming earlier. So it's like, I'm sorry, none of you get credit for doing any good in the last 70 years. In my opinion, I'm not impressed, at all with this ingenuity. And I don't think, all the money should go that direction. But I think here's the thing: Gen X. That's, I'm Gen X. I think. Are you millennial? I don't know.
I mean, we debated on this. I'm 1981, and I'm supposed to be in the cusp of millennial and.
You're bridging. You bridge between the two.
So, but I mean, technically, I'm a millennial. Technically,
well,
but then
Gen X, Gen X, we get the X thing. But we're about to go into power now. And here's the thing: our Pluto is in Libra, which is fairness and justice. And our generation is pissed off that things have been unfair. That's our generation. And
same thing millennials. Yeah, same thing. Well, these older millennials, because we've been fucking shafted for so long because of our previous generation. So I'm with you. At least the older millennials are with Gen.
Well, millennials get their own fight, which is like, millennials fight is like, who the fuck are you to tell me? They're Pluto and Scorpio. They're gonna fight a different fight than I fight. I don't want to fight that fight. I'm glad they're gonna do it for me. I'll argue that it's not fair. Let them say, let them be the one to draw the final line. Then my son's generation is going to draw the final belief structure. Like, we ain't believing anything. I think my son's the ones who are rejecting education. They're like, we're not going to college. Are you crazy? My son's like, I'm not going to college, Dad. It's outrageously priced. He's completely rejecting Sagittarius, which is where we're in now.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see. It's all a rebellion. Next headline.
CDC. Well, speaking of, you were talking about health. CDC vaccine panel to vote on ending hepatitis B shot for newborns. The meeting's outcome could reshape U.S. immunization policy with ripple effects on supply chains and global models. What do you think about this?
Isn't hepatitis B a sexually transmitted disease?
Hep B.
Where's a baby getting Hep B from, or Hep C? Well, maybe Hep B.
I don't think it's just. I don't think it's just sexually transmitted. Let me just double check on that. Let me see the most common way of Hep C or Hep B transmission.
Needle drugs.
I think isn't Hep C that the sexually transmitted?
Definitely the one. Yeah, with the
actually, let's say the most common ways Hep C is transmitted are through unprotected sexual contact. Oh, there you go, sharing needles and other drug injection equipment and other form of infected mother to her baby during childbirth.
What about Hep B?
So that's Hep B. No, that's Hep B. That's what they said Hep B is.
Okay.
Yeah, I was reading Hep B. So in a case, so do we? So if I would say if the mother has Hep B and is going to pass her child, then that makes sense to give the child the immunization. But the child's not going to have any sexual contact or sharing needles at any time soon. So I think it would be safe to say perhaps we don't necessarily need that for newborns, you know, in that sense, you know, because if that's the most common way it's transmitted, right? And so
you're horn around your mother's womb. You know, like,
I think the less we have to inject in our bodies, the better. You know, at a young age.
Well, yep. So I think this is all building to a head. This is what it's really about. In the beginning, there's going to be a burst. We'll talk about this in the astrology, but we can talk about it now. But there's going to be a burst that people are going to be, I think, distracted with their frustration at first, and they'll think it's something else. But then they're going to slowly realize, no, it's actually this, that everything, at least in the United States, is not good.
Right.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it is not a representation of our potential whatsoever.
Yep.
Next headline.
Interstellar Object 31 Atlas to make closest approach to Earth in December will be visible to amateur telescopes in constellation Sagittarius. UN confirms planetary defenses will observe 31 Atlas as it races through the solar system.
Races, huh?
Are we really giving this so much emphasis?
Well, I know. There's a lot of emphasis on this thing. Well, no. I mean, it feels, you know, pushed. It feels like a push story. It definitely feels like a push.
Right.
All stories are pushed, actually. Yeah, but what is it for? They always say it's, you know, someone's saying it's a distraction. Well, we have a lot of distractions to choose from these days. You know, like which distraction wins your fancy? I agree, it's a distraction. You know, everything is a distraction. But from, you know, I personally feel, I'll just keep saying it. I feel it's a spaceship that died. You know, that has dead. I believe there's dead bodies floating in that spaceship, and that spaceship got caught in a conscious river that like flows through the galaxy we didn't know about. That's my personal.
Like I said, I feel like it was like a spaceship turd floating around in space.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that again, they're observing it. I mean, as they should, because perhaps they can get a lot of information if they were to be able to somehow monitor that or get a piece of that. So I understand the need to want to know what it is, you know. And so, but the good thing about this is that I think it's giving us conscious awareness about extraterrestrial space, outer space life. So I kind of enjoy the fact that they are kind of dragging this out a little bit, because it's making people, it's reminding people there's more outside of us, there's more outside of Earth, right? Which I think is preparing us for other things outside of Earth that will come up in the future. You know, which I find a lot in 2026. 2026 to be like introspective innovation year. I'm going to do a huge forecast about that, but I'm excited actually about 2026.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's moving way. I feel like they've always moved too slow with us when it comes to information. I feel like they treat it like total calves.
Right.
You know, we can't handle too much too fast and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's way too. Sorry, it's way too slow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, anyways, next up. Trump
claims he will. Trump claims he will nullify executive orders Joe Biden signed by AutoPen. Asserts 92% of Biden's orders illegitimate. Targets 162 executive orders.
Why? What's AutoPen? Is that like a DocuSign for presidents?
Well, he's
what is that?
Because he's basically just kind of Biden just kind of just
signed his signature. It's
without looking, just kind of just sign. You know, it's just kind of this AutoPen analogy. You know, I'm not surprised. I mean, you know, I'm not surprised Trump would do that. To be honest with you, I think that is something he would do.
At the end of the day, after they went after Trump for the stolen classified documents, you knew you were going to get something petty back for that one. You know that, right? Like, you know, it's those things like he's going to get equally petty back at you, like, you know, like kind of thing. Because apparently,
what I would like to see, when we like to see what exactly he's going to, I would say, nullify. Like, I want to see the exact order he's going to nullify and what he's going to do in return.
I want to see the signature, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it brings up a question. How important is the president's signature anyways? Like, I think it is important, personally. Mm-hmm. If you can't sign your name, you shouldn't be in the job. You know, if you can't, I bet he could though. I think he was just having fun, or whatever, in his Scorpio way, Mr. Biden.
Yeah, Kristen says, yeah, it's like DocuSign. It's kind of like just kind of autofill it.
Yeah, just like and just like puts in these like crazy cursive letters of Joe Biden.
Yeah, right.
That's crazy. That's horrible. That's horrible. But you know, we're never going to have with biological imprint stuff like now, fingerprint, like everything now is being like your fingerprint, push your fingerprint to sign. You know, it's like everything in my house. You know, on my keyboard with my face alert. So it's like I don't think we'll ever have a signature again. I mean, it's going to die.
Yeah, I mean, today's generations don't even know cursive anymore.
No.
They don't even know how to write scripts. So it's like, yeah, maybe I feel like it'd be obsolete to even write anymore.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. We're not even gonna
But
write.
is that bad? Because we don't do hieroglyphics anymore either. So it's just like, it's just, we're just evolving. Will we need it? I guess, Christopher, the question would be, do we need to write in signature anymore?
It's, I don't know. I think there's something about, it's an artistry. It's your mark. It's, no, I mean, I think to some degree, like, think about it, it's your power of attorney. It's a lot, and it's proof that you were there, and handwriting analysis people, which I've known some, we have one named Sandra works with us, they're very good. They spot it. They can, I mean, those who read it and they know it's fake or not fake. Like, so it's an art that I wish we'd keep.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I think they'll always be around somehow, but who knows? But the next one is quantum technology is beginning to move from research labs to industrial deployment. Major investment from countries and companies in hardware, building networks and large scale facilities.
Yep, they're building Skynet. They're building Skynet.
They've been working on quantum computing and quantum technology for so long. They've been talking about it for so long. So I actually think that's where AI really is, to be honest with you. It's just like quantum computing with AI, pulling from different aspects of, reality. And, like you remember you talking about the other day about how we're just like, we can create a scene, it just creates the scene out of the ethers. It's like, what's quantum computing,
Yeah.
So we already have that. So,
yeah, I can say, well, no, I mean, obviously, look, every time I get an OS upgrade, I need a quantum computer for an iPhone. So I'm sure, Apple keeps making me buy quantum computers for iPhones. I'm sure we need quantum for AI. You know what I mean? That's just Apple Intelligence, where it's studying me on its own and not telling Apple, except at night what I do, kind of thing. I don't know. It's interesting. I think we're just going to always see it just go, flopping forward. I had heard, that story last week about putting them out of space. That was interesting. Putting the data centers in outer space. That was interesting.
But say one more time.
But putting data centers in the outer space. Last week we had in our headlines, we had putting data centers in outer space.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, totally. But I think I honestly think we're going to see a lot of that in 2026. A lot more of that, evolution, that destruction and production, and so I'm seeing a lot of outer space, innovations in 2026. A lot coming to fruition.
Well, I mean, if you just use AI, and we'll leave it this, it's like you use AI just to like do one thing, and you see how much faster it makes your job. You realize how fast the world's going to get on speed up. It's like everything's just, we are going to be Jetsons by the time, by the time we get a genetic shot and we're not old,
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, cure, I personally think aging is a disease that we have, a genetic disease. I don't think we're supposed to have it.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be here forever. So age is a good, wonderful thing, because at some point I want to move on and experience another life. So to me, it's also a blessing and a curse.
From what I understand, the building, the human body is about 120, can last about 120 years.
Yeah, 120, 150.
Yeah.
I think there's people that are living beyond, around that time in other third world countries. I've seen a statistic of that.
Apparently, can't remember the name. Yogananda's, Babai, like his sensei basically is still alive and bouncing around India.
Yeah.
Baba Ganesh or whatever. It's kind of interesting.
Babajai or something. Yeah, that's how you say it. Babajai.
Still jumping out of woods and scaring kids. Boo.
Yeah.
He's All right, here's our last one.
Well, yeah. Well, it's not even on here anymore, but it's not even on the notes. But Candace Owens accuses Turning Point USA leaders after Charlie Kirk's death, alleges TPUSA leaders betrayed Charlie Kirk before deadly shooting and vows to show evidence. Well, I have to say, you and I both said we thought this, shooting was CIA related. So we understood this is kind of a setup. So I actually find Candace Owens to be kind of more on the mark about all this. I don't know exactly what she's been saying. I've heard bits and pieces of this, digging for footage and all that. So I do believe there's a tie with, I'm not even going to go deep into this because I don't want to cause any conspiracy, but I do feel like in that direction there is a conspiracy about this death. So I think she's on the money. She might be wrong about a couple of things, but I think she's in the right direction.
No, I felt it from the very beginning, and
me too. We both said it. We both said it here, actually, you and I.
She's right. You know what? I'm proud of her, actually. I'm so proud of her because she is one of the few strong characters out there, period. And I love that she is African-American and I love she's married to a white guy, and she's like, oh no, you did not just do that. Like that's what I love about African Americans. They do have some attitude. I want them to go out and talk to some of these fuckers for us because they can handle it much better than I can. And she's just like that. You do not want to piss her off. You do not want to piss her off. You know what I mean? Like, and I respect that. I respect that so much. So I don't know. They're not going to kill her. I mean, that would be stupid.
Well, I think they're trying to. The French leaders or French and Israel leaders, I think, are going after her or something. Something she's claiming that they were trying to assassinate her. I think I heard so. Because she's speaking out, But who? Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, she is going against the bar on this, But
well, no, I think actually there's a lot of this stuff stinks there, y'all. We all know it. It has nothing to do with the religion. Nothing to do with the religion. Let me just put you that. Don't be fooled by that. It is a government. It's a government. It's
exactly. I just want to concur. I agree. It's when we talk like Israeli, we're talking about the politicians.
The government.
Yes, exactly.
Elected officials or non-elected officials, whatever it was. Right. Yeah. And by the way, all governments are on the hook. I've said this before. Here's why we don't want aliens landing, because aliens are going to call our governments out on their shit. I mean, they're going to expose our governments, and that's why our governments don't want them to land. Yeah. They'll be like, we gave you a Kyoto Council in 1930. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like Roosevelt said, thank you. So I think it's time for a commercial. Is that our last one? Yeah.
It sure is. Yeah, that's the last one.
All right, guys.
Happy holidays! I'm Sanandra, founder of Sichi Organics. For the past 30 years, our goal has been to bring the healing power of plants into your everyday life with simple, clean, organic skin and hair care made with love. Sichi makes a wonderful gift for the holidays. Enter code word JOY30 at checkout and you'll receive 30% off any individual Sichi skin and hair care product.
Happy holidays!
No, actually, that's yeah. First of all, Sichi's amazing. You guys, it makes a great gift.
That's a great commercial. We guys did the commercial. Looks fantastic. Actually,
yeah. So proud of her. And also the the grapeseed oil is amazing too.
Yeah,
actually, as far as we're trying to advertise things that are good for you here. Serious Joy. And
I'm glad. I mean, especially focusing on oils. I mean, we've been hearing a lot more about the seed oils, so I'm glad it's becoming more prevalent in our community. So it's very important, because a lot of people think it's sugar, carbs, or fats. Like, no, it's the kinds of. It's more about the oils too. And so we have to stop doing.
Why? It's because they soak the oils in chemicals. They soak the seeds in chemicals. They soak it all in chemicals. Just like with decaf coffee, they soak it in chemicals. If you soak it in chemicals, throw it away. You know what I mean? At that point, throw it away. You know what I mean? That's the problem. And so when you cold press it and smush it, basically, instead of, you can bring the extract of the oil out by pressure instead of by chemicals. And that's what's so amazing.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Apparently also cleans up stuff in your blood that's already there. So,
and see, that was a propaganda for me. First is like, oh, sugar's the devil, fat's the devil, all this. It's like, no, we need the right kinds of it. We all need sugar, fats, and carbs. It's all what we need in our system. So that's where people getting confused by, you focus on sugar-free, you have all these chemicals. You focus on fat-free, you get all these chemicals, right? And so that was the propaganda. And so, I can go on a soapbox about that one, but I think we shall not. We'll get into the zodiac weather instead of that soapbox, right?
Who does that? Who does the zodiac weather? Oh, that's me. Well, we've got a killer full moon coming up, y'all, here in the next 24 hours. It's going to be step 13 Gemini, opposing the sun at step 13 Sagittarius. And what this is a revolution, so to speak. The United States is a 13-degree Cancer, for instance. We were born in a revolution. 13 is when you realize that you're not going along with what your heart believes. That's what 13 is. 1 is the heart and 3 is belief. So once you do go with what your heart believes, it usually goes against what a lot of other people want you to believe. And that's where things start to shift. So this full moon, I think, is going to have quite an impact because it squares the nodes, the north node and the south node. North node at Pisces, 13 degrees, south node at Virgo, 13 degrees. So we have a square of the sun and those 4 points. And when you have a square at a multidimensional degree, basically all 4 corners of the sky are all entangled together in a quantum entanglement. We don't know what will happen. Certainly, actually, I mean, what we suspect at Sirius Joy, our astrologers, we feel like this basically a major quantum field is kind of opening around the Earth. Well, what the fuck is that? Ultimately, a multidimensionality, sort of a place where you can access all dimensions at a certain time simultaneously. And our feeling is that when that happens, people shift gears. They ascend or descend or shift dimensions. Sometimes the dimension is as simple as like, I've been looking at it all from my father's perspective, and then I thought about, what about my mom? And then you see it from your mother's dimension. So dimension can be as simple as perspective in the room, but it can be as grand as, floating and being transparent, having, being a light body. But we do feel it's in belief structure though. So what's going to happen is the full moon in Gemini is emotion is going to overwhelm thought. So this happens anyways, because the step system teaches us that emotion manifests before thought does. You have a feeling that turns into a belief, that turns into a belonging, that then turns into a thought. So these layers that lead to a thought. So if you have tremendous emotion and you have sort of a thought, like let's say thought web that you've been stuck in your thinking, this tremendous emotion, of course, the full moon kind of pops that thinking open and forces you to see things you hadn't seen before. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So, I think people will say too much and get fired. I think people, evidence will be found. I think all sorts of weird information will come to a head that is also driven by emotional upset or emotional frustration. And the combination of emotional frustration and, false thinking will be a change of thinking, right? And that's where the belief takes over. When you don't know what to think, you go back to your core belief, step 3, because I think it's step 5. So we're going to go back to, what did we believe? And this is the beginning of the re-evolution, in my opinion. This is where the story starts. Now, Candace was saying that she thinks that there's going to be, I don't know if you heard this, but she's claiming there's going to be some sort of 9/11-like event next week. Well, the astrology shows that's possible, actually. I mean, the window is there. I was just reporting on it, and it's because of this acceleration of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and just the popping that happens. We have Neptune go direct at 20 degrees Pisces, right when we have an action-oriented data. So it's like literally, it's like, okay, run the news story, and Neptune is direct, at 29, which is a tested degree. Last time Neptune was at 29 degrees, the Civil War is about to begin, literally in the United States. So we know it gets tense in that particular moment to the point of fractioning things. And so it does look like something will be tense and, break apart. But the planets all are putting, the truth is that the planets are very positive in the sense that they're all pushing towards love-based life, honestly, love-based life. And even this 13 degrees is what your heart believes, not what your mind thinks. So what your heart believes is the truth of who you are. And it's the life you want to live anyways. So even if you're wrong, you should stick to this, be your friend and stick to the wrong, because that's what your heart wants.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying last week too about the unseen becoming seen. I think a lot of this has to do too with a lot of phasings that we're doing. And I think, a lot of people might be experiencing next week too, this kind of phasing of old, new, old, because even though we're phasing into new, like I was saying previously about how we've changed we've healed a lot of karma. We've changed a lot of belief structures. So therefore we're like, okay, I had this new insight, but nothing's moving. And so we're still functioning in older patterns, older actually behaviors. And that's what's going to be kind of, the scene to us and phasing back and forth. Because like I even said before with my experience, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm still responding the same way, but I believe differently now. So it's calling out those behaviors and bringing them forward. And that allows us to come from the heart and start saying, okay, I can feel my heart, but I got to express it. Like I have to be overt with that. And so, but I think there's a lot of conflict. Right? Because then people are going to start wanting to be competitive with you. They're not getting, fed from you in that sense. There's going to be a lot of chaos in that degree. So I think in the next week, there's a lot of competitive energy in that way. And even when you were mentioning this, I just decided to pull a card. I got the 5 of Wands. It's all about that conflict. It's all about that, it's squirming energy, right? And I even feel like even moving forward politically and with our culture, things being exposed and things that were unseen becoming seen, which could collapse a lot of things that we didn't realize were functioning certain ways. Like, holy crap, and those things crumble. So not that I feel so much as a 9/11 type of event, but if you think of 9/11, things are crumbling down. I think a lot of that energy has to do with systems and ideas crumbling down, and there might be a revelation or some sort of exposure in the next week and a half or so that I feel like is in alignment to what I feel with the energetic currents as well. But that also is true on the individual levels. If it's true in the astrology for collective, it's true on the individual too. So we got to look at this. And so we don't want to, if there's chaos because of our change in the positive sense, then that's what needs to go in our lives. And so that's going to be very prevalent and very, very clear, this week ahead. And also in the month of December too. But we have to practice expression. We have to practice, how am I expressing? We have to be conscious. We have to teach ourselves this, because that will allow us to get ourselves in a different paradigm, not so much on the autopilot energy. We have to practice how we're expressing, how we're behaving. That's very important for December.
I think, I agree. There's no question. I think we have to listen to our fucking heart. I don't think we listen to our heart ever. I don't think we ask our heart or consult our heart for anything. You don't even ask for, even when you're shopping, do you get your favorite? No, you maybe get the cheap one. So as long as we're going to keep ignoring our heart, which is our creative, most magical side, we're doomed. We have to listen. It has to be included into the equation. And it's so freaking simple, which is why we're teaching mastering self-love. But seriously,
there you go.
I honestly threw the class in because I'm like, oh my God, in April, from what I can tell, in April, shit hits the fan. And I realized, we haven't prepared our viewers. We have not prepared our viewers for how to hold the love vibration. I mean, remember COVID. If you could get before COVID, if you could go back in time and get before COVID, what would you do to prepare your audience, right? And for me, I'm like, well, you know what? I would have gotten them in their heart. I would have got them a little bit more confident about listening to their heart first as their primary source of information. And so I had a wake up call like a week ago. I'm like, oh crap! Here we have another event coming. I don't know if it's this week, but by April, certainly things are upside down. At that point, I don't want to go through, I want all of our subscribers, I want people who are with us to be able to live in their heart and not get hurt by it. Again, we started the show off where you take, you're taking things personally that hurt you and you're not accepting the love. Like, that's where we're messed up.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, that's the constant message, loving yourself. But the problem is there's the variables and obstacles that prevents people from doing so. The beliefs, the patterns, right? That kind of filter and distort us from even knowing what our heart, because how many people you have that you see with clients, and I have a lot, that they don't even know what their heart is. How do I know what my heart is saying? And we have to take a step back and say, what do you feel versus what you're thinking? Is what you're thinking what you're feeling? So there's a lot of variables that people have to practice in order to get there. So underlying current is always following your heart, right? But just so many people have and I understand it, and you understand it too, because you've been through situations and challenges in your life too that blinded us to understand what the hell that is, And so, but yeah, I mean, that is the undercurrent of all. It will always be the undercurrent of the spiritual, message.
Well,
but
I think it's a secret to all of life. Honestly, I think it's how God.
Of course,
did it. It's like, and it's not what we think it is. It's that I think, first of all, I have a Leo rising and Leo moon, and what does that mean? Somehow I can keep the self-love going a bit longer than the average person. Like, I don't know if because I asked those kids for his life as a king. I don't know what it was, but I like me. I like me. Like, I really do like me. I do. And like Sally Field does, and I always have, but I haven't ever said that. I've just enjoyed myself in front of others, and people really like that. I think that people want to enjoy themselves. They want to enjoy who they are, and they want to be, just feel good about who they are, and just enjoy the good things. And we've never just tried that. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's time to just try that.
But yeah, and I just feel like, why can't we be okay with growth? Like, I just realized, like, I'm all about the growth. I'm all about the evolving. I'm not about what I didn't do. And I'm like, what I should do next? Sometimes I get too much and, obsessed with like, what do I need to do next more of? And that's probably a resistance that needs to change too. I think if we're just okay to understand that it is about growth, it's about evolving. So we stop beating ourselves up.
Growth is inevitable. Look, you go, if you love, like, let's say you love a pasta dish and you eat it for 10 weeks in a row, you get sick of it, you grow out of it, and you want something else better. Like, joy is the thing where if you just keep pursuing it, you'll always be growing. Because you work through this joy, you want another joy, And it's not like a drugs thing either. I am learning how to enjoy the small things too. That was a big part of it. I thought only thing worthwhile was the big things, the flashy things. My little rising wanted flashy things. Now, after been, beat up so much by life, I'm just happy with a cup of soup. Sometimes you just really are just grateful for the smallest things. That helps too, to lower that. So,
well, speaking of December, it's important to have guidance to, an oversight. So tomorrow on my live show, I'm actually doing a December energy forecast. So I'll get into depth about, what to expect for December and how we can navigate with different sectors through relationships, career, financials. And I'm going to break it down to, air signs, water signs, earth signs, fire signs, a lot of great stuff too, to keep it simplistic. And what we can be doing collectively as well as the individual level. So that's tomorrow. And we've also taken every week live one-on-one readings too. I'm live every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And if you're bashful and don't want to see me live, you can book a personal one-on-one reading with me at scottcruzpm.com. And that's that.
Honestly, the live thing is important because people who are trusting psychics for the first time don't trust psychics. They just don't. And it's because they were told not to and all that stuff. And what's genius about your show is that you can just spend $25 and throw a question to you and you'll see for yourself, something that's not important, something that's not to your heart, something that's not going to expose where the bodies are, just something very small. And you'll see Scott knock it out of the woods. And then you'll be like, oh shit, this is real.
I want to be a resource for people who maybe can't afford a full session too. And also, like you said, showcasing it, and I have to say, I just got accepted on Bob Olson does this psychic directory that's for exclusive, true, legitimate psychics. I just got accepted on that directory. So I'm with the big wigs. So I was excited about that. Bob Olson's been an investigator about the paranormal for a long time and proving the existence of such. And so he's been kind of trying to push out the real deal. So I'm kind of excited. It took 6 months, but finally on it. So it's good little.
That's good. Congratulations. Yeah. Congratulations. You've been acknowledged by another.
Finally, I get beat up a lot of times, but my clients.
Here's the thing. I'll throw this out real quick. Aquas are beat up because I think what happened is after Atlantis, you guys showed off in front of the church a lot. And I think you got really beaten down. These are the psychics. When I look past lives of my Aquarius clients, I was like, oh man. They usually go back to Atlantis, the beginning of this vibration, and then they went through the Dark Ages through the church because they thought they were trying to get close back to Atlantis, what seemed like Atlantis, and then they got in there and it was dark as hell. It's really run by Satan, and they get beaten down, and now y'all are literally just you are just wanting everything to be okay with the public, and feel okay with it. It's something I see universal across Aquarians, for sure.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Well, yeah, you're exhausting us too. No, I'm kidding. Actually, y'all are coming out just fine. Honestly, here's the truth. Tonight's show has been maybe a little cloudy, but I actually want to tell you what the rainbow is. I have had some really strong impressions psychically when I'm in my moment where I see the future as so happy that I can't believe it's the future. And I'm like, no, there's no way. And one thing I felt was, I don't know if I said this on the show, but so many people are in love romantically. So many people find their mate is what I saw. I was like, which I did not. I've been doing this for 20 years now. It's I never saw that before. I never saw everyone being, the majority of people being in a happy relationship. That was just, I suddenly realized oh, that's where the love comes from. It's that silly romantic love. Once people learn how to be in their own heart, you're going to have some amazing love stories out there, and it's really going to blossom. We've gotten to a very quiet, isolated, position romantically, everything. So many people who did not move on and find a second one, according to your karma, you're going to go through almost half the relationships in past lives that you're still hung up on before you meet the one. So it's we're all destined for 6 to 10, for the most part, if you're going to do anything from past lives, but
I agree. I'm totally with you on that. I feel we're not here for Armageddon. I never saw that. You and I have always been in agreement about that. And I just feel a lot of these relationship challenges has been the past 3, 4, 5 years. It's because we're clear on karma so we can be happy. Yeah. So we can, get along with each other, right? Yeah. And all this fragmentation. So I'm this is, I was actually excited about the chaos because I'm this is going to end really well. The pendulum's going to swing in that direction. So we're going to be very content with that. Someone said here too about me being a feminist, that I should grow and be a feminist. It's who said I wasn't a feminist? I'm all about equality for all, women included. And, the divine feminine energy is so important. So I'm a mama's boy. So you better believe I'm all about empowering women. So I've already grown into that. So
I'm just grateful they carried me in the womb, you know? So
I always say, like, women they have to give birth, they have to go through periods, menstruation cycles. They're like so critiqued. So I'm always trying to be a protector of women. Not that they're not powerful, but I just always feel like I'm a supportive of the women energy because they do so much for life, you know, and they have so much they have to go through to continue life for them. So that should be in itself respected, as I do. So
yeah, I always have too. I have in that regard. Thank God. It took me probably 1,000 years, but I did it. I got there.
Speaking about that, we got to navigate to our topic here, which is about crafting our compass. We got to get to this quickly. But we kind of, here's the thing, our discussions really is on board to our compass and navigating our compass. So what we were talking about before in the discussions pretty much is on topic to what we've been saying. But what's the first part of doing so, Christopher?
All right. So I know this is an opinion of someone's. You know, here's the thing. Here's the truth. Here's the opposite of the truth. You know, we're doing this class. It starts this Sunday. If you guys want to join, it is Mastering Self-Love. What we're doing are exercises every week. We're giving out exercises of how to basically sharpen your compass and how to really improve your inner self and your relationship to yourself to stay in your heart. How do you stay in your heart? How do you love yourself? The nodes in your chart, you know, that's what this is talking about here. The nodes in your chart, true north is your core value. It's been said. Now, I'm just like you. I'm a rebel. I come up with my own definitions for a lot of things in astrology, you know, and what I get psychically from North Node is it is a continuum of what your soul is moving from this trend to that trend. So you've been stuck in the South Node of your chart, you know, for a long time, many lifetimes, and you need to now do the opposite thing, go to the North Node of the chart and express yourself there. But I don't see it as the way you're going. I see it as the way you must always go, period. Like the North Node must be applied, period. You will not make it unless you apply the North Node, but you will not end up in the North Node, I don't think, singularly. That's not the destination. Those are the trade winds that you basically capture to navigate your ship. So the North Node in your chart will tell you this must happen. Now, my North Node, you know what it is? It's I commit to my personal dreams. I commit to serious joy. In fact, that part of the chart I call serious joy. It's the commitment to my happiness. That's what I have to do in this life. I have to do that. What was I committed to prior to that? I was committed to other people's feelings. So my North Node's a Capricorn, South Node and Cancer. And my mom's a Cancer, and she raised me to be worried about feelings. So it's like, it all works that way. But it's not this be-all, end-all of sharpening your compass.
No, but I also think that your North Node is kind of like also indicative of what you design, what you craft your future to be, right? And so, like for me, like my goal is being objective and unaffected, right? So it's been my tagline for a while, and so. And so that's my North Node is making sure that every situation in my life is always catapulting me forward, right? And so that means I want to be the truest version of myself and honest to myself, no matter how uncomfortable it is, and breaking down beliefs, no matter how uncomfortable it is or how much I grasped onto that. So for me, it's like the fundamental truth of my evolution, as well as how it goes with the collective, is my North Node, and that's where I always say objective and unaffected. And so that keeps my passion within my work honest. That keeps my expression honest and real and true. Because I'm also seeking ways within my craft to make sure I'm not doing it with distortion. You know, I'm always cross-checking myself and my own craft and how to expand it. So I would say if I can simplify all that, my North Node is fundamental truth and objectivity.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, you know, people don't know this, but the nodes are actually an imaginary spot. It's an X that marks a spot.
Right.
It's what the sun crosses the horizon. And the moon has its arc too. The ecliptic is the sun, and so there's a point where the sun and the moon actually their paths in the sky cross, and that is what your North Node and South Node are. There's a polarity of each. So it's basically step 1 and step 2: self-love and feelings. Self-love is the sun, feelings are emotions. So it's the sun and the moon, and so when the sun and the moon kiss at the top, and when they kiss at the bottom. When they kiss at the bottom is what you're actually moving away from, and when they kiss at the top is what you're moving towards. And that's what nodes are. They're basically a calculation summary of the heart and emotions, right? And where they happen to be in this particular lifetime. So it's good to understand that. I think you know seriously we focus on the fundamentals of what is important, and ultimately no, it's the sun. Wherever the heart step number is, that's what your heart's supposed to focus on. Period. That's what the step system is. Every day God gives like basically one day for all 360 different scales of consciousness. And you have one day for your heart to invest in one part of you. And that's it. Around and around and around we go, year after year, our heart's the most important thing we do. It's step one. It's the first step, and it's the most important step because every step follows step one.
And east is your purpose and why, the east node. So usually it's where you're going and what's the pattern of energy you bring to every room. So I like to say every environment, right? And so, and that's where I feel like with I would say my core value, my purpose would be, helping others and inspiring others. And a huge purpose for me is to make spirituality tangible, right? And so, so I feel like within the truth of what my purpose is, I always feel your purpose is your expression of what your core beliefs are. And so I express my core beliefs through psychic mediumship, mentorship, creating music, right? And so that's the way I feel like I express that. And that's what we bring to the table, that's what we bring to our environment. And so I would say it's how we participate in our core values and purpose and how to navigate. So, yeah, that's how I would define it personally for me.
I have a very complicated definition for truth and purpose. It's a 40-day program of Serious Joy, but it does involve a lot more of a complicated
Roll the banners.
No, it's not for sale now, but it's a complicated algorithm, and part of it is the galactic center, the North Node. Also, your midheaven is a part of that purpose. Saturn reveals purpose. Pluto reveals ignorance of purpose or need for purpose because of ignorance. It's like really everything in your plan, everything in your chart is to some degree pointing towards your purpose. And the step numbers also give us the purpose too, the net results of it. So your soul is born, heading in a direction, and it's too bad we don't see it, but we're heading there. And one of the reasons why you'll recognize it when you find your purpose is because you'll see you've been always heading that direction the whole time. You'll see looking back like, oh, I'll be damned. It was always about that. That's how little we pay attention to ourselves, right? So it's interesting. I think as far as, sharpening the compass is concerned, I'm going to go off script here and say, my formula is this. You've got to know what your mind thinks. 5, what your mind thinks. You got to know what your mind thinks. You got to know what your feelings have to say, because they're not going to say the same thing as your mind. They do not say the same thing as your mind. They look at different parts of you. So if you look at your thoughts and not your feelings, you got half the information. You listen to your feelings, not your thoughts, you got half the information. And then after you listen to your thoughts and feelings, you listen to your heart, because it's a third voice and the most important voice. And that voice won't even open up unless your thoughts and feelings have been listened to, because your thoughts and feelings will not shut the fuck up, until they've been heard, so to speak. So we have to there's a process to getting to your truth and getting to finding the golden way. And the golden way is right here, I think, in the heart chakra.
And which leads us to the south, node being, your emotional truth, right? The emotional field, how to honor signals like tightening, expansion, anxiety, and calm, emotions of the body. And so I always like to say that emotions are manifestations of thought or focus, right? And so I think we tend to just feel an emotion and we just think that emotion is somehow valid or somehow fundamental truth. I'm saying, no, emotions is manifestations or results, how we're focusing or how we have been processing thoughts or ideas. So those are things we need to be very, very aware of. That when people say I'm ruled by emotion, I'm like, what does it even mean? Like, you're just letting things happen just because, and just letting your life be dominated just because you feel something randomly. So I think that when we can understand that even anxiety and fear is just a result of some sort of out of alignment processing, then we could be more conscious of how we can redirect our thought and focus to render different emotions, right? And so then we can actually be more clear about when we're having intuitive responses to things, because people can identify if they get an intuitive response to something, they think that's an emotion, so they wrap it up and together with other emotions. So we'll be able to classify, this is emotion based off thoughts that may be out of alignment, and this is an intuitive hit, an intuitive impulse, and that could be more of a great navigation. So and then we could be more in control of our emotions and how we choose to feel. And so the emotional field is very complex, because sometimes like you said before, we can feel an emotion for something that we didn't think about, but that emotion is rendering from a past life unresolved karma that just continues in our DNA, that continues in our experience evolution. We just continue to have this emotion. We don't know why, but we can dive deep. You can dive deep and trace it back if we're willing to.
It's an energetic tidal wave. It's a tsunami from a past life. If you're like, why me, God, why? And you die. Okay, so that why me stays in the matrix, and when you come back, that why me is joined to you subconsciously, and whenever you say why, you feel weird, because whenever you create a resonance that's similar to another resonance in another time, there's a singularity there. There's, and so you feel in singularity all the times they hit that frequency. And that's what emotion is. emotion is the original feeling, the feeling you have about that feeling, the feeling you have about those feelings, the feeling you have about the therapist you talked about the feelings, the feeling you have about your wife you talked about. It's like all the feelings about all the feelings about all the feelings, and all centered around, one core, issue. And, is your energy just, moving in circles? But here's the thing. It just wants to be heard. That's what I learned. I'm a progressed Cancer now. I have learned the way. I think I'm a step 8 Cancer, step 9 Cancer this year. Step 9 Cancer, which I'm that's cool because I'm in that 9. But I've learned, okay, here's what it's want. Emotions, they just want you to listen to them. That's all they really want. They do like nurturing and petting and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, they just want to be heard because they are a message or a complex message. It's the broadband of spirituality. You cannot fit that much information into a word, but you can do it into one feeling.
Sure. And that's exactly right. Because every feeling has like an array of different expressions of it. And that's true. And that's why with the West, we have our boundaries and agreements, right? And so it's about the West is sunset, endings, closure, limits, all that great stuff to protect your direction, what energy drains you, right? What do you need to stop allowing? And so our emotions could be an indication of like, oh shit, I didn't realize I've been allowing this in. And so we have to allow ourselves to use, like you said, those emotions as messengers to realize I'm depriving myself here. I'm limiting myself there. I'm actually spreading myself too thin here. I'm degrading myself there. So these boundaries that we set for ourselves can be the completion to how we can continue to evolve and grow and expand in the right alignment. I always say we are everything because we're source energy, but doesn't mean in this physical life we're supposed to express and be everything and connect with everything either. So we do have a specific pathway we need to be designated toward. And so our West helps to set those boundaries, parameters, and thresholds of such.
Well, last point I'll make is the moon circles around the earth, and what it does is like it's just a radar dish that picks up on all your feelings and really gives you a full 360 of how you feel about everything. So, you'll say, I'm not going to be this way. I'm going to do this. And you feel like, and you go, no, actually, I don't really feel like doing it. I don't really feel like doing it. That's your truth. Your mind might try to get you to do it, but you don't feel like it. If you don't feel like it, you don't want it. And I think a lot of times we are just don't want to face that truth. So, and that leads us to happy endings. Yeah, but here's the thing, y'all. This is a big. Be careful. Don't operate heavy machinery over the full moon. This is a full moon. That you just don't want to be stranded somewhere. You want to be smart. I've already seen full moon events happening. I've had friends call me in the middle of the night in trouble. Like it's happening. People are going through their full moon experience when it's right for them. It's not always on the apex of the full moon. It's when it's right for you. And it is a bit of a crash and a reboot for even if it's all good. For me, it was like, oh my God, I've already had some of the realizations and I'm like, oh my God, what I'm about to do as far as change, y'all, I've never changed this much what I'm proposing to change. I'm not even going to put out in detail now, but I've never wanted to change as much as I'm about to change. Never. Not in one swoop.
Yeah, and next week we'll actually be talking about breaking self-limiting beliefs too. So it kind of goes in a nice streamline of events in our shows. So we kind of talk about how to breaking those self-limiting beliefs. I actually did a show last week called Belief Detox. So check that out too, because I kind of get into that too. It'd be a nice preparation for our show next week. So check that out. And my live show tomorrow night, don't forget, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, doing the energy forecast for December and live one-on-one readings.
And don't forget, I'm teaching Mastering Self-Love. You can go to SeriousStory.academy to purchase that class and be a part of it. You'll get 4 months of Serious Story service, just 4 months. So I can send you text messages about your chart and who you are as we go through the process. And we're going to prepare the world, those who sign up, to be ready for April, which is to hold the love, hold joy, hold compassion when the earth goes through whatever it's going to go through. So thanks, Scott. It was nice knowing you.
About time there's a finale to this thing. All right.
Yeah,
see ya.
All right. So that's all we have for this week, y'all. We'll be talking about all these fun things next week. Don't forget that instead of putting up the shift show, you should just lead out loud.
Yeah, loud. Good night, guys. Much love.
Yeah, man. According to Grok, Serious Joy is being shadow banned.
Oh yeah, I've been shadow banned for a long time. For the past 2 years.
I know, that's bullshit. We build a network and they block traffic.
So I guess sometimes when you speak things that are controversial or true, they maybe just don't want to promote that just yet.